Do you not agree that the mania surrounding celebrity is reaching an unhealthy level?
No, I don't. My clients want to feel more connected to those people that they see in the magazines and on television.
Enjoy.
So far, I've had all her diseases.
Must have been expensive.
Is there any way you could spread it?
What happened to Anna, guys?
That's pretty shocking.
We're really happy to have Brandon Cronenberg here, the director and writer of a film called Antiviral that we both saw and loved. Brandon, thanks so much for coming to chat with us today. We're really excited. So where did this dystopian society idea of people who are more celebrity obsessed than even we are, where did that seed first take root?
Well, I was 2004. I was in film school. I've been writing it for about 8 years on and off before I got a chance to make it. And I was incredibly sick, and I was in bed with this flu, and I was having a fever dream and sort of obsessing over the physicality of illness and how I had something in my body and in my cells that had come from someone else's body. And there seemed to be a kind of a weird intimacy to that connection. And afterwards, I sort of tried to think of a character who might see disease in that intimate way, and I thought, a celebrity-obsessed fan who might want, Angelina Jolie's cold as a way of feeling some physical connection to her wouldn't be too implausible. And from there, it sort of developed into what I thought was an interesting metaphor for.
Now, normally I wouldn't, delve into someone's personal life, but since you've, this is a bit of an editorial. There's definitely, part of you, very much like part of the celebrities is in this film, and so I have to ask. I mean, growing up as a Cronenberg and seeing your father and yourself become part of the media conversation, where there is all that talk, how does that feel as actually being on the inside?
Well, I mean, growing up, I wasn't part of that conversation, but I certainly saw, there's an enormous disconnect between celebrities and the human beings, which isn't a really novel insight, but I think when you sort of see it personally, it's still shocking the degree to which celebrities are really these sort of these fictionalized characters, and the media.
But I mean, certainly a lot of people have talked about that idea, but what's great about Antiviral is if you've made it, you found a way to actually make it more than a metaphor. It is something that we trade around.
When people want a piece of you, grafted to their skin, to consume it, to share your cold sore.
Now, talking about your inner circle, though, we had a chance to talk to Nick Campbell, who was talking about his own experience with you, I guess, before the film and then after. Let's take a look to what Nick had to say.
You end up in this really disturbing, creepy, gross film?
Well, I was lucky I didn't have to read for it. Probably because I used to babysit Brandon when he was a little kid. His dad and I were friends, So when he come down to LA when I was living there, he'd drop his kid off at my house sometimes. So he just offered it to me. I had to meet him once, and he satisfied himself, I guess, that I'd be okay for it.
What was Brandon like as a little kid? Did he do gross things with his snot, or what?
No, he was a sweet little kid. I don't know what's going on in that mind, but he's just a sweet kid. He was adorable, very good looking, with his huge, intense eyes and all this hair he had and everything. He was very good. And I had a son close to the same age, and so it was pretty cool.
I don't know if you can be the next horror master if you're being called a sweet kid. I think that might kind of undercut his cred a bit.
I think you can. I think especially, you were just talking about how great his mustache is.
His mustache is spectacular. He really has something going on with the mustache right now.
All right, so you didn't always want to be a filmmaker, though, we heard. When we listen to this clip, we don't really get that sense, but we've read about you. Why is that?
Well, I think partly I wasn't a huge cinephile or anything. Growing up, I was much more into books. I was a book nerd, and I'm still pretty much a book nerd. But also, I guess, because of my father, a lot of people had these sort of approached me with preconceptions about who I was and what I wanted to do, and you must love film and want to be a director, and it kind of was pretty obnoxious. So I took great pleasure in being able to tell them that I had no interest in film whatsoever. And then at a certain point in my life, it kind of this seemed like a bad reason to not do something that
Absolutely.
could be potentially interesting.
And that you're so good at.
Now talking about, you call yourself a book nerd. You have a background in a whole bunch of different areas. The style of this film, one of the things I really enjoyed is that it's just such a very I feel like it was perfectly composed, and you really knew what you wanted to put up there on the screen. But what were you inspired by to get that kind of sterile, Apple iPod kind of look that we see there?
I mean, it wasn't any specific inspiration. No? I mean, people have done the sterile white thing before. It's not that no one's done it, but I thought in this case it would be useful for a few reasons. For one thing, it's a great way of controlling the frame. If there's the clinic, say it's white walls, and then you have these celebrity faces in light boxes on the walls.
The
and so
starkness
it really,
of that image.
it kind of elevates that image of the face and draws the eye to the face. And same with blood. There's a blood theme that runs throughout the film, and so blood pops against a white background, and it lends it this significance. But also I was interested in I guess that disconnect between celebrities as these sort of theoretical people, these like icons, these deities, and then the animal reality of the human body beneath that. And so having the clinical element and then the dirtier
the contrast
element.
To the butcher shop.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of blood, we have Sarah Gadon actually talking about the blood in the movie and how she worked with it, I guess. Let's take a look.
I love how you say gross and I start smiling. I'm like, yeah, all the gross stuff. Remember all the gross stuff? The grossest stuff for me was coughing up blood, and in the scene that I actually do that, I actually started choking on the blood because I was lying down, holding it throughout the take in my mouth, waiting for the moment where I would wake up and cough it up. And then I just started choking, and I actually started really choking and coughing up this blood. And after we called cut, everyone was like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And so that was pretty gross when it actually happened.
God, I love how the blood really did pop in that movie, and there was a lot. Do you guys have a blood guy, a flesh guy? You worked in special effects yourself at some point, right?
Yeah, for a little while. I didn't spend about a year or two. I mean, we had a makeup artist and props people.
Lots of blood in that movie. And of course, Sarah was so great, and Caleb Landry Jones is so great. Like, they're beautiful, of course, and they stand out against the whiteness of the film. We know a bit how you chose Sarah. Of course, she was in A Dangerous Method. What about Caleb?
Well, Caleb, I mean, I had actually seen him in X-Men, and he was like, for that movie, surprisingly interesting, and he stood out. But I hadn't thought of looking to X-Men, obviously, for casting inspiration, because it's a different film. But we saw some clips when we were looking around at actors and of other things that he had done, and we all got extremely excited. We were in the production office and crowded around this laptop, and it was just like, he has that thing that's hard to articulate that's somehow extremely fascinating.
Well, I saw him on the carpet with his dad, and he's got he's from Texas, and that's certainly a part of it. So I mean, maybe, and in the film it comes across, he comes from somewhere else, and there's he holds himself a little differently. Maybe that's part of it.
He's got those great blue eyes like yours, and with Nick on that one, and Sarah's.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's not just Texas, though.
Right.
He's just an incredible nuanced physical actor.
Very much so. You could see that.
Has something great about him.
And you definitely worked that out of him for sure. We really enjoyed the movie. Dying to know what's up next for you.
I'm writing, and hopefully I'll get to make another movie.
And we hope to have you here again. It's so nice to have, all these great Canadian filmmakers that we actually get to spend time with and learn so much more about your film by talking about you. We also enjoy Sarah Gadon, who we've spent a lot of time with as her career has built. And as we say goodbye to you, we're going to share with our audience a profile of Sarah and how her career has been developing.
Oh, great.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
Oh, thanks so much.
Good job.
Thanks for having me.
Sarah Gadon is well on her way to joining the ranks of Hollywood's hottest Canadian exports.
I don't like saying this.
What?
You smell of sex.
Fresh from living out every teen and Twymom's dream playing Robert Pattinson's wife in David Cronenberg's Cosmopolis, Sarah's back at TIFF starring in another Cronenberg film. Not from David this time, but his offspring. Brandon Cronenberg is certainly taking after Dad, and he's handed Sarah an unforgettable role in his deliciously creepy new thriller, Antiviral. But Sarah's career really started taking root on the CBC.
What the hell is going on?
Her first recurring roles came on 2 CBC TV shows. First, The Border,
Can't hurt, right?
followed by Being Erica.
God, careful! Katie?
Last year, Sarah was named one of the first TIFF Rising Stars, a significant honor to snag.
And then give you kind of an all-access pass to the pool of resources that you can really get here.
Next up for Sarah, oh, just a leading role alongside Jake Gyllenhaal. She's starring in Denis Villeneuve's follow-up to his Oscar-nominated and Genie-winning film, Incendie.